What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your weekend forecast for the weekend of Saturday, November 21st and Sunday, November 22nd of 2020. Brian here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. As always, thank you so much for being here. Hope you're doing well. It was a wild week, big energy, and today, Saturday, is a trip. We get two big ingresses that happen right after each other, with the sun coming into Sagittarius today, with the south node getting ready to make some eclipses, and then we get Venus ingressing into Scorpio. So we're coming off those 29th degrees. I think that we're looking for hope, we're looking for renewal. We want to find like what really does feel good. And I think that the more optimistic we can be in our own life, the better. But the more that we just think that like the whole world is gonna kind of just figure itself out, right? That kind of hope, like that's when we can still get lost in that south node, especially with the sun here. So there's this interesting space that we just came into, and we need to definitely look still for factual, but like be hopeful, look for excitement and look for fun, but in a more controlled environment, not so much too far outside of yourself. And really look for like the deeper things that make you feel good, that deep soul connection with Venus in Scorpio. It's not surface level here. Like that was kind of Libra with Venus in Libra. Like what was surface level that felt good? Now it's time to go, what really does feel good and what really needs to change. Like you figured out what you think you wanted or what you thought, or took in a lot of information, weighed a lot of things out. Now it's time to get to the meat and potatoes of relationships, to our own money situations, to where we're putting our money with Venus and Scorpio. Like this is not Venus's favorite place to be, I'll be honest. So there's definitely a lot of things coming up with that Venus in Scorpio, especially at these 0 degrees. Like Venus has done some weird things in Scorpio, and it retrograded here in 2018, the same degrees that Mercury did. So where we kind of like finished some of that, and now we're kind of like revisiting it for the last time to move forward and like actually renew and transform those situations in our life. And yeah, so it's definitely not surface level right now when it comes to money, relationships, and values. It's got to be like, there's got to be something more. I think we all have to be that detective here, especially with that Mercury in Scorpio that's going to be quincunx Mars in Aries this weekend. That, we got to really be the detective for our own desires, our own natural instincts, and trust those natural instincts and trust that intuition, and really look past like illusions too, as that Mercury's coming up on a trine to Neptune in Pisces. Like we definitely have to look through it. Like I think we've seen enough now that we need to this weekend look through it, or it could be really spelled in delusion into believing something weird, or something that's just not of your own truth. Maybe it's someone else's truth projected on you, but you have to ask yourself what your truth is, what your deep desires are. And this is one of those weekends that moon is going to be pretty much void off course as it finishes up in Aquarius for most of today, and then about 9 o'clock Pacific time, 12 o'clock on the East Coast in the United States. So pretty much all of Saturday, there's not a whole lot going on with the moon here, I'll be honest. Pretty void of course. So Saturday can feel like there's all these shifts taking place, but yet there's just like some sort of miss. And we have to get to the bottom of that, but at the same time, later that night, early in the morning, obviously on the East Coast or in other parts of the world, it would be Sunday. We do get that first quarter square at 0 degrees of Pisces, with a trine to Venus at 0 degrees of Scorpio. So definitely like, it's an interesting evening, and I think it's pushing us towards really opening up to all possibilities, and not like the more we're stuck in like that, I know this, I know that, I don't know, this is kind of forcing you out of that to just really look at every aspect of your life, really look at every aspect of the information you're taking in, and you know, expand on that with the sun, especially coming in here. But you know, don't get too overly like lost in the expansion. We still have to narrow things down with that North Node in Gemini. But you know, this is definitely opening things up for relationships with the trine to Venus. Like it's definitely opening that door for the emotional connection to that like soul vibe. And it's like you'll know if it's there and if it's not there. And if you're unhappy, like you just kind of have to like feel it and know that that feeling's real and not like make it some illusion in life today. So trust your instincts today, trust your intuition. It's going to be like spot on if you're listening to your soul desires, if you're listening to your own wants and needs, and you're not putting yourself second to some other agenda, some other projection of what life needs to look like, but you're, you know, trusting what you feel life needs to look like in your own world, in your own environment, in your own community, and in the things that you ultimately have some sort of say in. All the stuff outside that, like, do you really have a say in? I mean, we can't get too lost in the world right now and the ideals of what everybody should be doing and what's right and what's wrong. We have to figure out what's right and what's wrong in our own life. Stand in that truth, stand strong, and own that for ourselves. Let other people have their opinions, of course, as always. And that Venus is going to be making some weird aspects coming into next week. So it's definitely a time to focus on, really with Scorpio, we got to focus on where we put our money. You know, and I will say that I've been looking at markets lately, and crypto looks damn good. So, and the stock market and the dollar looks meh. Not financial advice, of course, on this channel, but do your own research and look at some markets, because there's major shifts going on with the structure of our life, with Pluto coming up to the Pluto return in the next couple years, with Jupiter and Saturn meeting in Aquarius. Like there are major things happening, and there's a whole nother story out there that isn't being told in the news, isn't being told in the media. And you know, I would just say it's the year of the rat. It's North Node Gemini. Like we got to be smart, and we can't just let things take us in some weird direction. Like we have to be smart. Look at every option. Look at all sorts of facts. Look at you know, whatever information comes to you. It came to you for a reason, and you have to analyze that and like make some, you know, some sort of decision. You know, we can't be weighing things out anymore. Like we're done with Libra for a while. So we've weighed enough things out. It's time to get to the nitty gritty and be the detective of what you want, especially this weekend, because there's a lot going on. And you know, that moon on Sunday, it's going to make a sextile to Uranus and Taurus. I think that, you know, as far as like our reality, like it's unpredictable, it's unstable, it's changing, it's getting accelerated to something else. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet, but the more that we can like emotionally go with the tides and go with the flow, I think that we can really adapt to anything. And, you know, it'll take us farther if we can just be in that flow of whatever happens, it's going to happen. Control what you can control, you know, focus on what makes you feel good. You know, it's just, mostly it's that square that like takes place right in the middle of this weekend, that first quarter square, and it's prepping us for these eclipses, right? So we have these wild mutable eclipses coming up, with a lunar eclipse in Gemini, and then which is only a week away, and then on the 30th of November, and then on the 14th we get the solar eclipse in Sagittarius with the South Node right there. So major changes are taking place. Like remember, mutable energy is just always changing. It's the end of the seasons, right? So, you know, there's this end of fall that's coming as we come into this winter of Capricorn. And we have had so much energy in Capricorn. And there's so many changes taking place in the world, in our environment. And we have to find out where the vibe is for us this weekend. I think that it's a big, big weekend to look for the hope that you do want in your life, but to not be just so sold on what it needs to look like. To be hopeful for whatever the universe is going to bring you, it was meant to bring you. And I think that opening up those doors in life is so important, but we have to open them up in ways that are actually, make sense in our reality, make sense in our own life, and we can't look too far out. Information is a crazy thing right now. There's so much information out there, as we're in North Node Gemini, year of the rat, but at the same time there's so much false information out there, and then there's so much diversion of information. Even look at Twitter, anytime anything political is posted, it's well, this is disputed or whatever, and now it's a joke on Twitter. Everybody's well, this is disputed, and all the socials are like that. It's really weird. I'm just saying that the idea of having a freedom of our own expression is being very much kind of suppressed. So I think we need to bring out as much information as we can. We need to see all sides of things, and we have to be willing to change. And this is a good weekend to as we get two big ingresses, to move into a change. What brings you a happiness and an excitement? And we got to feed the adventure of our own life, and we're all on this different adventure. And the more that we can feed that and expand on the things in life that we can expand on, because it's just uncharted territory that we're in right here. And even the Jupiter-Saturn coming up on December 21st, the more I think about it, it's okay, these two energies could cancel each other out and just be this big kind of, who knows, or Jupiter could take the lead and give us all this expansion and hope with the people and in society. Or then there's the other aspect that's Jupiter could amplify Saturn's restriction. And with the South Node in Sagittarius, it's how hopeful really should we get, even for what is usually a pretty transformative and powerful, and it can be positive as Jupiter's taking over and passing Saturn in transit around the sun, and in transit from Earth as well. From Helio, Jupiter's already past Saturn, and we're starting to see kind of some of that play out, right? We're starting to see lockdowns again. I live in California. The whole state's pretty much purple now, and I don't know, I kind of live somewhat in a rural area, so I can't really speak for what other areas are like, but my area is purple now, and that literally nobody really gives COVID too much thought here. I don't know, it's weird. I can only speak from where I live. I know everybody's in a different position, has a different perspective, has been affected differently by this situation, so I'm not trying to say one way or another. It's just the only projection, the only information I get personally besides what the media tells me. So that's just what I'm putting out there. That's my individual truth in this life. So I understand everybody else has a different one, and it could be a million different things. We live in this infinite universe. So anyways, a little off tangent, a little off topic there, but I don't know, I kind of lost my place. Jupiter, Saturn. So we're in this things are kind of getting restricted even more and more, and they are still in Capricorn, and Saturn is still daddy here, calling the shots. And you know what? He's even daddier in Aquarius. I'll be honest. Saturn is very strong in Aquarius too. Jupiter is meh in Aquarius, and then with the South Node in Sag, it's just it's likely that 2020 was just the setup for literally this next decade. And I know that's not a fun thing to say and a fun thing to talk about, but we have a lot going on, and all the energy that's happened lately, we got to really hone in on ourselves and our truth and what we can accomplish within ourselves, because it's likely all going to be tested. And And that's the other thing with this Aquarius transit that's coming up. Aquarius is unpredictable. It's innovative, it's smart, but it's also really, it's very Uranian in that aspect. And Uranus is going to square Jupiter and Saturn too as we come into next year in January. I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen. And I don't know what's going to happen either. And it's going to look unlike anything anybody here has likely ever thought. And it's going to be blown up with Jupiter there. So we just have to be prepared within ourselves to handle change. Like now is a good time. Like when things change, take that information in. Use that reflection of how you can make your life better and how you can accept change and move along with it. Don't fight it. And I think that that's something that, you know, we could all learn a lot from within ourselves, is just like using this world to help us work on ourselves, to help us find our strength, to help us be mutable within ourselves, because we're in a very, very, very mutable time where a lot is changing and a lot is shifting. And this is a big weekend to step into that mutable energy with this mutable first quarter square coming into mutable eclipses. So we need to get ready to adapt. We're in like this new time, and that's what these eclipses are bringing, is a really new time that can be, I would say, very stimulating, but also very out of this world, and we're not sure how to get through that. But you know, I don't have all the answers, but I know what I'll be doing, and that's what I channel to you pretty much every day here. The Eight of Swords reversed. So, yeah, this has like a watchdog on it. This deck gets me every time. I would say that we need to like be very observant. This card has this dog sitting up right here. And I'm just going to do this card from this deck and not so much the traditional version. In the reversed, it's like we need to be very observant of everything that's going on right now with every aspect of our own life, with every aspect of the media, with what the world's doing. We need to look outside the box and really take in information. And if we don't, I think that we're going to be very, you know, we're going to feel very left behind. This is also Venus and Gemini on this card. We had a Venus in Gemini retrograde this year. We definitely have to get our environment right and make sure that we can feel comfortable in it and be very aware. For real. That's the channel that came from this card, is if we're not watching out for what the world's doing, we're going to get left behind, or we're going to get left and put into a really weird place where we're going to have to really make some weird decisions in our life. But the more aware you are and the more strong you are and the more willing you are to shift and move in this life, I think things are going to be way better. Like, if you're sharp in your mind and you know what you want right now and you know who you are and you're connected, you're good. And it's time for everybody to find that connection if you don't have it, because you know, we got to be able to stand strong and look at both sides, good and evil. Like, especially with Gemini, there's always going to be good, there's always going to be evil, and we need to be able to objectify it and work it into our environment in a big way. I love you all very much. Hope you enjoyed this weekend forecast. I will see you for the weekend horoscopes, and I'll see you Monday as well. Love you all very much. Peace.